Okay. We have a novel here today, so it should be L'zeich and Nishmitz's mother. And
1 million baht. So I mean, but Haim, Haim Binuni.
Baruch Hashem, you're going in the ways of your mother. Stock of a chesed, Mitzshem, that should be zoichet that chiyas hamesim. Someone asked me a shaila. Shabbos, the child came home, Nebuch, after hanging out with friends. Sure. Invite them in. Nebuch, the kid was say had a couple of chaims. And the kid put some challah in the toaster. From kid.
It's not a story.
Huh?
It's not that story, but it's a story.
No. And the father's asking if you have to kasher the toaster. Okay. There's a larger question to it as well, but that wasn't the question that I was asked. Well, we could discuss that as well. But first, let's discuss what's Nagea La'alocha. What's tangible Nagea La'alocha. Shabbos Shabbos Rabbi some kufin. Hey, it says, "Kedei Shabbos Yisrael Tzarechel Sheish Bei Sakona." They cooked in a pot for a yid. Sakonas nefashos. Imi asurim of Nesha Bishla B'Shabbos and Teres. Nesha Im Ma'aser Shabbos Asurim. El Rabbi Yechon Asandle. Lekam Lekavasei. Dim Asura Kiven Diikel Migzah Shema Yar Bebo L'Tzarech Bori. Tshuva. Rashba says Davar Boru. It's very clear. L'Kuli Alma Shemuteres that this pot is mutter. I feel about Tafshalatz mutter la'erev. The food is mutter. So how can you say the pot is also? Feel Rabbi Yechon Asandle. There's three way Machlokes about Ma'aser Shabbos Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yechon Asandle is very machmir. Shlos Rabbi Yechon and El Kshas amazing. Lo b'shoigig. Aktani b'shoigig. Yechon matzah Shabbos lachedim v'loy loy. So someone's allowed to eat it. So if someone's allowed to eat it, how could you say that you have to kasher it? V'davke b'shoigig b'isu. Ava talachayla sheish b'sakona. Mutter mitzvah labashel boy. Ve'enka ma'aser Shabbos b'Yisrael v'layosar for Rabbi Yechon Asandle and ma'aser Shabbos shenasa b'Yisrael v'kolshkein l'Rabbi Yehuda v'kolshkein l'Rabbi Meir. Okay. So he says, what's the shaila? It's mutter. So let's read quickly Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch writes in Basha b'Shabbos. Also echem mashar malach. It's amazing. Also le'loylam alachere mutter l'matzoi Shabbos meyad. If he cooked, say b'mezid, he's not allowed to eat the food forever. Dog the Magen Avraham. Lachedi muter l'mat Shabbos meyad. B'shoigig also Rabbi Bayam gam lachedi l'erev muter gam loy. Okay, this is like a mayor. I'm sorry, like the Yehuda. But Magen Avraham says mashma marashba siman kufayin hey the gdeira asura gamke. It's mashma the gdeira. It's mashma from the Rashba because the Rashba said that when you cook for sakonas nefashos, then you're allowed to use the pot. It's mashma if it wasn't sakonas nefashos, it would be also to use the pot. Now, not everyone agrees with this diuk in the Magen Avraham and the Rashba. Chaim brings mashma by Rashba the gdeira asura the gabi the day below miisa. As is like the Magen Avraham, he says miu mate Yehuda says. Shecholak al divrei Magen Avraham nisker vehiskim lahater agdeire, and then he brings others. Makom makom likadina hiskim lahater metamacher. What was the reason to be makel? They said that the Raj was only said and according to Rabbi Yechon Asandle. We don't pass like Rabbi Yechon Asandle. It sounds like he was saying kolshkin. But it sounds like Tzad Isur is a very strong diuk. Anyway, the Ben Ish Chai also passes l'chumra Many achronim paskin l'chumra. L'mayif it's a klicheres. You could be makel to kasher. I'm not sure. The bottom line is the Alter Rebbe. Klicheres usually you can kasher klicheres. Yeah, because it's bottom line is the bottom line is that the Mishnah Berurah, the Alter Rebbe, are very clearly in the beginning of Simon Shin Yud Ches that a person that cooks b'mezid, that pot is also for that person because that food is also for him. Lo'ilam, it's like bosa b'cholov. It's like a piece of nevela. For that person, that piece of food is also forever. So therefore, he has to kasher the pot. If he wants to use the pot, he has to kasher the pot. I'm not sure why in the Alkut Yosef he says that his father, or himself, his father, that they're makel about this. Ben Ishchai is machmas. I'm not sure why. Take brings from a Sefer Levi's Chain. There's a machloikis. There's a machloikis about if a guy cooked in your pot. Say you have a shiksa in the house and you caught that she cooked in the pot. She fried an omelette. Do you have to kasher the pot or not? There's a machlokas that he's showing him about this. So this Levi's Chaim wants to say it depends. If you hold l'chumra, that means that you hold that the blia is also. If you say lekula, so just like by bishulei akum, a chacham mekilu, it's like a gavra thing, not a chetza. The chacham said you're not allowed to eat. But the blia is mutter. The bottom line is the Lepol Shulchan Aruch is machmer. The Shulchan Aruch paskins that if a good cooks in your pot, it's a kasher the pot. He said near the day. And there's an interesting thing here. There is a shail. Because I'm just looking at things. So there's Rabbi Grimblat, Ribvis Ephraim, passed away a few years ago. It'd be interesting. He says that everyone asks. The Mishnah Berurah says that if a goy cooks for a choyle, it's a choyle she'ein b'sakana, but it's a goy, and you're allowed to do it. But that pot you have to kasher matzah Shabbos, and that's what he says in Siman Shin Chav Ches. And Siman Shin Yud Ches, he's makel. He says you don't have to sastida. So he says that interesting thing. I'll just read it for you. His words. He says, "Veherli yididi Arab Weinberg shlite mesachtes haramonim." The Mishnah Berurah says it atzmai. Shekoyse the Siman Shin Chav Ches, the choyle she'ein b'sakana muter b'bishul ein Yehudim. And the Kalim shel tzrichim hechshe. But earlier he was makel. So Amar li Yedidi shebachayat Chafetz Chaim hitvis es a Mishnah Berurah gimel pomim. Im ke mash kozo b'simen shum chav ches lechumra chozo b'mash kozo b'simen shin yud ches lekula. So I was just reading it. It's just like, what do you mean? Hitvis a gimel pomim. Probably what he meant is that the Chafetz Chaim couldn't afford to print the Mishnah Berurah in one set. So he printed a part, and then he printed the next section, and then he printed the next section. So maybe it was too expensive to go back to be metaken. Anyway, be it as it may, we're machmer. We say taka. Bishule yakum. If a guy cooked, if you have a shiksa in the house, you cook in the pot, you have to kasher. Okay, just because you're machmer there doesn't mean we have to be machmer here too. If you makel there, you'd be makel here. If you're machmer there, it doesn't. But lapal, the Mishnah Berurah and the Alter Rebbe says you have to be machmer. So that's just the bottom line. The Alter Rebbe says that if a person cooks, so bottom line. Oh, it's amazing. Oh, the bottom line is if a guy takes a frying pan and fries egg on Shabbos, that frying pan is also for him a lamas, and he has to kasher. So now back to our shayla. Nebach, the kid came back home shikr from vaping, shikr from drugs, shikr from alcohol, whatever, shikr. So mistama was b'shoigig. Why should you say that a frum kid went and cooked himself something b'mezid? Why? Chas v'shalom, such a thing. Stam give him b'shoigig. B'shikir. Forgot it Shabbos. No, that's not a good excuse. I'm sorry, I don't want to go there because it's not going to help me. You're not helping me.
Yeah, but you want the truth.
Oh, okay. So, I
I
hear. Um, so Mestama was b'shogeg. Now, the truth is, in this case, there's another point, a very strong point. The shaila was that the kid took a piece of challah and put it in the toaster. He toast the challah. The challah is already baked. So there's a whole discussion about fiyah, bishlacha, bishl. What's in the gay over here? There was no blias isu. Blias isu means that there was raw lokshin. The lokshin was raw. Now he took a pot, he put in water, boiled it, and he cooked the lokshin. So now the walls of the pot took in the tam of the lokshin, which were cooked on Shabbos b'mezid b'isur. But he put a piece of challah in the toaster. Huh?
There's no zeh, how?
Quite not.
Maybe you know what, how?
And it's already cooked. It's already baked. Elamai lagabi. If he was over, for sure the piece of challah is also not for sure, but it's not the piece of challah is also to eat because there's a shvach in the extra toasting of it. So I'm not saying that it's mutter to eat the piece of challah when that wasn't the question. But to say that there was a bliya from a bliyas isu, what the kid did was an isu de raisa, because a toaster works with fire. But probably this is the raisa. Maybe it's the rabbanon. So that's like what kind of toaster. But to say there was a bliyas isur, I don't think there's a bliyas isur here. So therefore, there's two reasons to be making. Now, if the kid came home and he got angry at the parents and they had a fight, and they said, you're talking Shabbos, you went out, and blah, 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 and the kid got angry and did it on purpose, I would say it's amazing. And then I would say, huh?
If he's drunk, maybe.
No, if he's drunk, he's drunk.
Not about that.
I would say it's b'shogeg. But if he came home not drunk, and they had a broigis, and the parents said we had to the Shabbos, what a chutzpah. And the kid got angry, and he went and he cooked himself supper in the kitchen. Takazoi, I would say that and the toaster I would be makel, but on the pot I would be mach. Now, the move again poshut, I would never advise the parents to come Sunday morning and make a big ceremony and tell their child that they're kashering the pots because the kid the kid cooked in it on Shabbos. Now, if there is a mumche in chinuch of children, I'm not going to say where he is because then I might make a lashon hara. There's a mumche that would say that everything I'm saying now is tipshus gemura, because he has a whole mahalach about kids that are falling off the derech, that you have to embrace them, and there's a whole mahalach about how you have, and therefore pikuach nefesh, and everything is pikuach nefesh. Everything is pikuach nefesh. I strongly disagree with this gentleman, and someone asked me Shabbos about my thoughts on it. V'day l'mevin. I strongly disagree with this. First of all, always in chinuch, one size fits all is always bad. One size fits all is always bad. The mental health system in America is broken in the worst possible way. Not to be trusted, or from people, all the from organizations, they right away send you, to all these. There's a broken system. It's terrible. A broken system. Terrible, terrible, terrible. We had with our own family, and I couldn't get even a drop of it because the Yiddish organizations, you call them up. Are you getting therapy? No, I don't need therapy. We can't deal with you. Tell us who's your therapist. I'm not ashamed to go to therapy, but right now I don't need therapy. I have a problem with a child. I don't need therapy. No, because as I'm the goyim gezak, you'll send your daughter to Kakatach place, and so there was a Yid, it was Nifter, Rabbi Wallerstein.
Yeah.
So he told me, maybe a tip is you send over there. Your daughter will come back to yes, now your side to treifas, bacon and eggs. You're gonna send your child to eat. So other people told me you're crazy. You're playing games. That's pikuach nefesh. Exaggeration beyond control. American mental health system is broken beyond.
You're talking even with from therapists and from psychologists.
No, I'm talking about sending away to places with for treatments. So the system is broken in the worst possible way. And then in the film world now, there's this thing saying that if a child is struggling, that everything is mutter, everything's pikuach nefesh. It's not true. Sorry, it's not true. And I've seen many families going through the system with this mahalach. So maybe they repaired a little bit their relationship with their child. But first of all, I don't see that these children are flourishing. I don't see these kids recovering. Recovery to me, when a child is a from child,
Are you talking about
uh,
drug rehab for
any type of
Yeah.
coming back. If the child didn't come back from, between me and you, they didn't come back. Because if they really were healed, they would be frum. Now, maybe they wouldn't be frum the way their parents are frum. Maybe they took a different mederech and avoided Hashem. That's fine. That's fine. And maybe they wouldn't be so machmer, maybe they're more frum, maybe they're less frum. It could be, it could go from, but if a kid didn't come back and they're and some level frum, that means they didn't recover. I'm sorry, it's like it's a dova poshut. That means the child did not recover. How is a child that the child recovered and is not on a basic level showing Torah mitzvahs? That's not called recovery.
God says that these mental illnesses are not recoverable. Maybe they're not.
It's a lot of love. It's plenty of recovery with a lot of love, with a lot of attention. But to say that that's why I'm saying about this shaila, to say everything is pekuach nefesh and everything is mutter, it's not true. Not everything is mutter and not everything is pekuach nefesh. And
a big chunk of it is family problems.
right.
So that's why the organization wants to go
I know.
therapy.
I know. The organization right away suspects that the parents are at fault.
Yes.
And a lot of times it's true.
90% of the cases are good.
Yeah, a lot of times it's true, but the whole, like sometimes the remedies are, make bigger problems. The Doesn't help, and it makes bigger problems. So
they could be screaming at home, and the therapist is supposed to tell the family stop screaming.
Oh, so this is good. If you really metapel with that there should be not that much stress in the house, and there should be shalom bias in the house. Not to say that all of a sudden everything is pikuach nefesh. Yeah, but make sure that the stress level of the house goes down, that the shalom bias is there, that there is a warm feeling, it's a safe place, that the kid always wants to come back to that safe place.
Some people think it's a mitzvah to scream.
Huh?
Some people think it's a mitzvah to scream kids. And they might the old-fashioned way of doing things.
So that's emes v'yatzev and all. That's an axiom. That's true. With all these kids, the first thing is that the house should be a safe place. The house should be a warm place, an embracing place. That's take bli yoytza min haklal. But this whole thing, so now you'll take your child once a year on a vacation. And what's the other kids that are in yeshiva, the from kids? So you have to become frei to go with your father once a year on vacation.
Yeah.
There's no end to the mishigasten that I heard. Maybe fakert, maybe the kids that are frum should get a little more rewarded. But even that you have to be careful. But the bottom line is, for sure, the shalom bayis in the house and warmth and the safety of the house is very important. Back to our shaila, if a kid taka did it b'mezid, the din is clear. You don't have to make a ceremony and kasher the pots in front of the child. Probably should be kashered quietly when the child doesn't know. But the din doesn't change. Anyway, but in this case, where the kid was shikif and it was a toaster, so there's even if you'll argue, about the shoygig, like you said, you're looking for the truth, you're not looking for limit schools. But the toaster, there's no blias isu. Maybe even if there's a blia, but there's no blias isu. So therefore, I said it's not a problem. There's an interesting shaila that came. This is with someone sitting yeshiva. There's 3 mitzvahs that a woman has to do. Which one of them is challah? This week's parsha, Maris sholosh sin kel matzoilas lushi vasiyogis, and lushi vasiyogis. There is a word from the Meshech Chochma. He says that the Gemara says that if you take sholosh in and you menapa and you clean it very well, you get a soran, which is the sheer challah. That's how much clean flour you get out of it. The Gemara says that a healthy person eats in a day kashir challah. Yeah, that's what a healthy man eats. And you're not supposed to, when it's kashir challah, you're not supposed to be metamet. Even if it's chulin, you're not supposed to be metamet something which is shir challah. So therefore, when that day, when Sarah all of a sudden she was piyas anida, so therefore she didn't want to be losh techala because they kept chulin al taras hakodesh. They wanted to keep, and she didn't want to be metama. So since it was already kashir chala, so the Beit says Nelson as an artist on the Meshech Chochma writes, I don't understand, but there were 3 guests. So why did she make only 1 shir challah? Why didn't you make shir? So he says no, there were 3 guests, but they were only eating breakfast, and there's 3 sudas for the day. So it's b'diuk lahafli. But I'm a little funny because if it's Zalman Eltis, if say such a thing, because Man Chazal, there was no breakfast, lunch, and supper. There were 2 sudas in the day. Inshallah, shudas is a chidush davar, a little thing. No, it's still Pesach is that. Maybe it was Shabbos. So there was a chay b'shallah shudas.
Which would be allowed to make halal on Shabbos.
Right. Exactly. So couldn't do that. Yeah, but still, there's 2 sudas. When Yom Tif, there's no 3 sudas in the day. There's 2 sudas.
Oh, yeah, very.
So the sharfkeit is very good, but I think really to go back, I think really what the I mean what the mission, what the Or Sameach meant, the pashtos is that Challah, she could have made a smaller shear. They're giving them meat, they're giving them good stuff. They're giving them tongue, martel. It's good stuff. Who wants to eat bread?
Rabbi tells them don't fill up on the challah.
Exactly. Yeah, who wants to fill up on the challah? That's the cheap. The caterers have a trick. They put out the challah, put out pasta. They want you to get full on the cheap stuff. But sorry, Menu, it wasn't that way. Faked. I would say the other way around. Taka, she made not a lot of bread. She didn't make a lot of bread, but she wanted to make at least a shir challah because this way she has the mitzvah of taking challah. So therefore she had a problem. So Friday night, last week, Sayyid comes and says he had a problem. And unfortunately I passed him wrong because it was on the moment. So he said that his wife took challah on Friday and they got mixed back into the challah. And they baked the challah already. So I said, look.
They separated.
They separated. It's a very serious thing. If you didn't separate challah, so the din is poshut, that challah is chutzlor that you could eat, and at the end you leave a little bit and you're mafresh from that. But now that you're ready, took challah and got mixed in, the only eitzah would be to make hafrashas in the door. And we take 3 men. And we would do the whole thing. I would ask you if you would have known when your wife took challah that it's going to get mixed in. Would you allow your wife to take challah? Oh, for sure not. And then we'd say muchalach, machalach, machalach, and then we'd say I said that ben hashmosh is for sure, but now it's already the night and was after Maidav. But then when I came home, I realized I made a mistake. It was too late. When I came home, I realized that you're allowed to be shoyl on the Dorim Shabbos, which are tzarchei Shabbos. So really, what I could have done is to chap 3 people. It was the end of davening. There were a few people still on the shore. To sit them down, to make a Torah in the Dorim.
On Shabbos?
Yeah, I didn't chap. I made a mistake. You live and learn. I could have done it on Shabbos. I was thinking. I said, if it would have been Ben Hashmoshes, I would have done it. But now that it's Shabbos. how are we going to do that Torah and Dorim on Shabbos? Then I realized that I made a mistake. What do you mean? You could make a Torah and Dorim on Shabbos, L'Tzoyrech Shabbos. So if it happens again, I'll know what to do.
They found the Challah.
Huh?
There was no mixture because they found the Challah.
Oh, they found the Challah.
They remember which one they put it in.
Oh,
And they said,
okay. I feel much better now.
That's really that's the only way to do it.
That would have been the only way to do it. Then well, if they found the challah, they found the challah. Because that's the best thing in the world. But otherwise, listen, this is challah. You can't. It got mixed in. So the only way to undo it is to undo the neder and then start it all over again. Let's read it quickly inside. The Alter Rebbe says, "Safek shecha, safek enig shecha, zenikre ben shotz v'chamakim, also lasset ben malachim en ha-Torah. Uledvar mitzvah mutar lasset b'kol davar she'osu b'shabbos u'medivri sefer. V'chein mutaret v'nechba v'nitzah kol davar she'mshashuz ben hashmos v'mutar. Lefikich mutar lasset peiris v'ein lema yochel b'shabbos she'tzara shabbos. But also lahafresh Challah b'chutz l'orzi. Shere yochel lechel b'lahafrashas chayil l'shayim atatak v'shabbos." The problem here was that he got mixed in, but the answer really is in Yeridei Simaresh Chavches and Gimel Ketzidei Atoriyim and Gimel Pam Mutalach Sharlach Hamachlach. I feel him Umad Bekrevim Balayla B'Shabbos. I feel him Efshalim Atmal Lishalach B'Vad Shilat Tzerech HaShabbos. Kegon Shenod Shalach Libatel Ma'enig HaShabbos. V'Chem Mitzibur Nog Later B'Shem Tzerech HaShabbos. So really, I could have done to have three people sit down after Ma'ariv and to be Matim Neder, to be Shoyal on the Challah, to undo, and then tell him that he should eat the challah, make sure to leave Matzah Shabbos something, and to be mafresh challah from that. But I'm very happy to hear that anyway they figured it out. Anyway, it's interesting piece of the tshuva. Mipnei Shabbos kulam mekubotzim lo yatir az lo yuchol lahatir. V'chotz v'taz avalo marachimim b'Shabbos. Meinim eisek Shabbos. You don't make a chedem on Shabbos. Lo bedov godel kameshkos b'tshuva sarashba. Shehichlim b'Shabbos yoishrei Provence. She'osku b'limud chochmas hateva kol yemei. There was a big. The problem was in the days of the Rashba that there were Jews, and they were very highly assimilated, and they were very integrated into Spanish society, and they were Anoshim Mulumadim, and there was the Gdei Yisrael wanted to make a chedem against learning secular studies. The Rashba got involved. The Rashba felt that it was extreme. The Rashba said made takonas, and he made certain takonas that you have to wait till a certain age, till you're 25, mashra kazeh, and also even after the age of 25, you're not allowed to do it all day. You have to learn Torah. You have to learn Torah chelik of the day, and that was like a pshara between the things. And he made a big announcement, and the Rashba says that on Shabbos he made. That chedem that he made against learning secular studies was on a Shabbos. It's a fascinating thing if you think about it. Like little these you didn't know that 100 years later, this whole society that was so so l'choida advanced and and so inclusive l'choida would have the Inquisition and the most cruelty, the biggest cruelty that ever existed on the planet of this world. Rediscovers time and Amoida. The Rebbe 70 years ago, the Rebbe started the yeshiva. My grandfather started this yeshiva. It was this with Rimachol Teidelbach. The Rebbe wanted that they should start a yeshiva where they don't learn any secular studies in the United States of America. Yeah, that this year 70 years when they opened. Isaiah asked the Rebbe if they should teach math. Because in Eretz Yisrael and the very Haredi yeshivas, but they don't teach any secular studies, they teach math. The Rebbe said no. And my Zayda understood, maybe it was the Rebbe's words, I don't want to that my Zayda said that he understood that the Rebbe wanted to break a big clip in America. Kilo is saying that in America, the only way to be matzliach is to a little bit integrate the children into American society. They never wanted to show that it's shaykh that a kid should grow up learning al taras hakodesh, I mean matzliach in life, and he learned zero secular studies. So anyway, and the Nachzel and Yonenu that this was a thing that the Rashba did on Shabbos. He made a chedem and against learning secular studies on Shabbos. Anyway, back to our shaila. What I could have done is to have three people sit down and to be mate neder, and they tell them to leave. But I'm happy to hear that they figured out the shaila anyway, so it's good. Someone asked me, he's going into a cemetery, and if you should make a beracho. So the answer is it's only in Kivrei Yisrael, not in Kivrei Goyim, and the reason for it, maybe we'll talk about next week.
Why is it going very low?
Why is he going? So because he wants to jog and he wants to take a shortcut. I don't think it's a good idea. Agam. Alcohol is not matama b'oil. It doesn't feel right. Okay. While I was looking at the shaila, cemetery, yes, we can jog through it. Right. It's like, I don't know. It doesn't feel right. There was an interesting. I'm not going to read it inside because the time is short. It was an interesting after last week, Motzei Shabbos, and I was looking at the shaila. I saw there was a shaila from the Shalom Meiship. The guy came to Rov. His wife was Makabel Shabbos an hour and a quarter before Shabbos. And then she chapped after plug. That's what I'm saying. She was Makabel. And then she chapped, and she lit the candles. And she chapped that she forgot to take Challah. And she was very upset about it. So his shaila was if it could be matin neder for the Shabbos, that she was Makabel Shabbos, could she be matin neder to say that the Shabbos is Nishkin Shabbos? When I saw this tshuva, I got very excited because we were learning. We just finished the sugya, and we had the shaila. Remember about mincha? If you allowed a woman wants Makabel Shabbos to with the candles, I said that we allowed to daven mincha according to the Alter Rebbe, Lanius Daiti. And we came down to the question: is it a Isser Malacha, or is it really that you're taking the Kedushas Hayom on you? If it's taking Kedushas Hayom, it's very hard to imagine that you could undo something. It's a Shabbos, Oy Shabbos. What do you mean? It's a joke. I said, how do you make it Oy Shabbos? But if it's Taka Neder of Isser Malacha, you could do it. He has a few very cool Chidushim. And one of them was just a chab. He said that what's the problem with being mater? And he says, what's the problem with being mater neder? Not the person that is asking. It's for the bezdin, and the bezdin will not makabel Shabbos yet, so they could undo the Shabbos for her. I think it's very funny. It's like it almost sounds like crazy. But then he has a whole pilpul. He says, no, it's not really how you can't make Yom into Laila. He probably thinks that it's only like an Issa Malacha. So his maskana was that really this woman could send her husband to the Rov, and the Rov it's avek shtalna bezdin, and he thinks that's even a better idea than just eating the challah, and after Shabbos let her take. He says, why? Huh? He probably was also in the Kabbalah Shabbos. Exactly. I don't understand. Monosha. If the whole city was already Makabel, the still Pufel wouldn't work. If the city wasn't Makabel, so maybe he was thinking because the Shluch Shlag Kamoisen, what you can do, that person can do, but it's not true because you could ask a Yid when you were Makabel Shabbos early, you're allowed to ask another Yid to do Malacha. But maybe Truma because it's Mamash as a Shli. I don't know. He didn't discuss it. It's funny, but to undo Shabbos, to come out with such a thing. Okay, but it's a Shaila Meishiv, and it was not negated to our Shaila, and it's a little negated to the sugyas that we learned last year, and it was amusing. So therefore, I just made a copy of the Shaila Meishiv. Anyway, it's not negated to our Shaila. Our Shaila wasn't to undo the Kedushas of Shabbos. It was at night. The Shaila was a different Shaila. Okay, the schus of the Challah. He says the reason he was so because he says we know that the Shulchan Aruch brings from the Maril that a woman that didn't do a yortzeit licht ben hashmoshes is allowed to ask a goy because it bothers her. It was her parents' yortzeit on Shabbos, and she didn't light a candle from the shamelich. So it's a shgocha pratis. You're sitting here shiva, and we're talking about the yortzeit. We should talk about the candles we're going to greet Mashiach with. But it's a very important thing. So you're allowed to be makel to tell a goy. So the women, they make a challah bake, and it's very important. And women bake challah. We know today women bake challah, and they feel that it's a big esrotz and takas. It's the pois can bring that the three mitzvahs that the women do. B'shas they do the mitzvah. It's a big esrotz and lamaila. So he said because for the women it's so important. That's why he's entertaining to make such a Because otherwise, what's the big deal? Let them wait. It's Challah Chutz La'aretz. Let them wait to after Shabbos and then leave a piece and then take Matzah Shabbos a piece of Challah. He says no, but I know that this lady is going to be so nervous and so upset that she didn't had the schus and she can eat her up the whole Shabbos. So at least like our Shaila for sure that if such a thing happened again, that for sure a woman would be very upset. Number one, she never didn't do the mitzvah properly, and then there's no chalas in the house to eat. So for sure we'd be able to be makel. Anyway, the mitzvah of challah is one of the three special mitzvahs of women, which have a shaykhs with this week's parsha that Chayesora that they came back to the tent and he knew that she's a tzitkonis because the three nisim that are associated with the three mitzvahs that a woman does came back to the tent. So anyway, there should be l'zikor and toiv for your mother, and mitzvah Shem, we should walk with beautiful candles. Likras Mashiach Tzedkenu.
Meisje von der Rebbe, mein Tate ist nicht in Koi. Goes on in Tuli.
Yeah.
Wir mit der Rebbe fragen, 75 Jahre zurück. Der Rebbe gefragt, was tust du? Ich sag, ich will einen Feuer. Ich gefragt, wo das? Ich hatte gesagt, der Schirr für das Fahrische Eden, die Tumayre. Der Rebbe gesagt, es voran das ordentlich Geld zu machen, nach Familie von der Mitzvah. Da haben sie 2, 3 Kinder so sein zusammen und ich mache der größere Familie und noch den Mädchen zu leben viel. Dass die Familie weiß, wie nach dem Kind nach vielen Stockgeld zu verdienen. Heute kommt es sich zurück. Das neue von der Mitzvah in 2 Kinder. Das kommt zu 2, ne? Ein Kind, die wohnt 13 Jahre, ein Kind ist 1. Liegt viel größer, ne? Dann habe ich Rebbe sitzt da und jetzt kommt es mit der gewesen sehr erfasst. Hatte geschrieben die meisten, die geschrieben in Verband.
Okay.
Hatte sehr erfasst.
Wer sie gehört von der Taten, hat die gehört jedem gegangen zu. Die Bruder, okay, ein sehr schöner Meister.
Die
Egen.
Die Stufen, das
Okay, so alle Gesundheit.
das weiß ich nicht. Kann man sein, der schon gehört. Rabbi Martha.
Yeah.
Last time he tell me you get to meet
Oh, you know what happened? That night, and I forgot to tell you. That night, do we have a Zimon here?